Happy New Year everyone, 2024, and today I'll be doing an overview of the JND Studios 1/3 scale Wonder Woman. I had 608 out of 1,000, shipped by JND Studios, produced in Korea, was packed pretty well, arrived here and delivered by FedEx just today. Kind of doing part of the pre-unboxing. Little worried. There's this dent over here, even though it was well packaged. And also here on the bottom, as you can see here, this piece is pulling away from the box itself. So a little concerned. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Statue inside is... Alright, got the cover out, and I'm not quite sure what happened. I'm thinking possibly the packers were in a rush. And when putting in the styrofoam that adds as a buffer on this end, maybe they were just jamming it in and this part here got jammed and pulled away. So, but fingers crossed, at least it's the box. Hopefully the rest of the figure is fine. I did get number 608. Here is the standard JND plaque. Take it out here one-handed, and 608 out of 1,000. And as we open up here, we've got the standard straps, statue underneath, and here is the first layer. Taking a look, and here is the sword wrapped up well. I thought in some of the early announcements that the sword was going to be metal. I may have misread that or possibly misremembered that. But it is made out of plastic. There also is a magnet. It's in the actual hilt itself, so that way it will affix to the silicone hand. The detail is pretty well done, as you can see here on the video, once the camera zooms in a little bit. And this is being recorded on an iPhone, so I do apologize for some of the autofocus, as it likes to focus on the objects in the background a bit more. These details on the sculpt itself is pretty well done, along with the kind of paint itself. There's a little bit of a stone wash to get some of those details out. It is a fairly light sword. It would have been pretty sweet if it was made out of metal, but I do understand why they decided not to, since of course the arm itself is made of full silicone with, I don't think I see any ligaments or underskeleton in the arm, at least on the statue. But otherwise, you know, it's a nicely done sword and pretty much what I expected. And as we remove that top layer, we get down to the bottom. That's the shield, the 3 magnet arm sleeves or handles, the rocky base, pretty standard JND museum. And then there itself is the extra piece that wasn't announced, at least when it was first sent out for pre-order, but that is the stand for the shield. So it's a nice little addition. Taking out the base itself, it's again pretty standard JND museum quality. I do have 608 out of 1,000 made of these statues, so you know, still quite a bit. And taking a little bit closer look at that base, it's a good rocky texture. There's a lot of good washes to it. There is a piece for the hole, and of course for the magnet itself, or the peg I should say. And there is the JND Wonder Woman Justice League sign right on the front. Clean, unobtrusive. And here is a detail on the shield itself. It is made out of plastic or PVC. Does have some great sculpting details. The paint is well worn. There's a lot of there's a lot of scratches on there from definitely battles of days past or days yore. There's also some good magnets there. That is there, of course, to affix the handles. Once you do take them off in the back. I actually won't be displaying mine with the shield, just because I do want to be able to showcase the whole statue itself while it is in the case. But of course, that's definitely an option to have that shield, or have her holding the shield. Next up, these are the actual straps. They are not made of leather, and then they're not sculpted as well. I thought they'd be sculpted. They're actually some type of a plastic, so there's a little bit of a flex to them. I definitely wouldn't want to chance it. I could see it snapping by accident if you're trying to force it too much. There are magnets on the clasps themselves, and of course those would affix to the corresponding magnets on the shield. So pretty straightforward to get it put into the arm and hand. And here we go, putting it right in. I am just guessing, of course, on the way to put it. I did not look at the instructions, so I'm just kind of putting it by what I sort of remembered seeing it when I took it out of the box. So more than likely it can be flipped around. Again, if I need to, or if I were to display it, I of course would check the instruction manuals. They snap in pretty strong. They're good strong magnets, so I think once it's affixed to the silicone arm, there wouldn't be any trouble as far as it holding or staying on. And then putting it on the base. Here we are. Here is the shield on the presentation base itself. Does look pretty nice. One thing that would have been pretty sweet is if they had put an extra holder for the sword, and so that way you could have displayed it like this. I think that would have been pretty cool. Of course, if you try to do it now, it would probably tip over since it's not a very deep of a sword or a shield holder, I should say. But it would have been pretty cool if they did that. That said, I'm still glad to have it. And here we are, the piece de resistance. Taking a look at the statue. Fortunately, so far it does not look like there's any damage. Most of the statue is silicone. Taking a look here, as we inspect, the skin is a bit darker than the Wonder Woman 1984. The thighs or the legs are made of silicone, but of course with an body underneath that to make sure it's course able to stand. The whole costume or her armor is fully sculpted. I didn't try to futz too much with the head while it was still in the box. They do let you know, at least in the unpacking video by JND, that if you were to lift or are to lift this statue from the box, grab it by the waist and not grab it by any of the legs or anything else, as you could risk breaking it. And here it is on the base itself. Standing straight up and down. Already has good presence considering I still got the hair wrap and the plastic wrap around the neck. I will definitely have to futz the hair just a tidge. The, of course, silicone on the shoulders. On the arm itself is made of full silicone. Still feels pretty weird. The lasso, Golden Truth, her lasso of truth is of course sculpted or made out of PVC. The skin on that foot there in between the panels is actually silicone. And of course everything else is sculpted. There is no cloth on this figure. The quote-unquote leather straps are made out of, I believe, like some sort of a plastic. They don't feel like pleather and they don't feel fully sculpted. It's definitely kind of a plastic, much like what they did for the shield handles that affix to the hand. The armor itself is nicely detailed. Paint job, second to none, easily as good as the prototype. I actually think the painting on the silicone body is actually better than the prototype. There's actually some decent amount of shading to the silicone itself, which of course is really hard to do. It is medical grade silicone, which is supposed to last about 45 years as long as it's stored in good condition. I'm not quite sure what that sticker was there for. Maybe it's to tell folks how to, which way to place it in the box. I don't know. But I took it out. That is all sculpted along with the corset itself. And here is a look once I do remove it. Again, I have not really futzed the hair. I literally just remove the plastic around the hair and then the kind of piece that was around the neck. Taking a look at this character, it's, again, JND completely blows out their production. If you like their prototypes when they do announce them, their production versions are either better or at least as good as the prototype. So there's definitely no loss in at least the quality there. I did hear there are some snafus with shipping with some of the statues, but if that were to happen to you, definitely contact JND both by email or even on their Facebook Messenger. They are pretty responsive within about 24 to 48 hours, depending on when you contact them. The hair itself is done nicely. Their hair teams have definitely done a lot better, have grown, especially in their expertise after all these different statues. that they've released thus far. It's actually definitely better than the Wonder Woman 1984 hair. And there's the quick shot of the likeness of Gal Gadot. And here's some shots of her. Very, very photogenic, great presence. Again, these are all shot on the iPhone 15 Pro Max using the portrait. The statue is actually not that light. For some odd reason, with my overhead indoor light, it gives her skin a bit, especially with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it has a kind of a lighter hue on the skin. It's actually a little bit darker in person. But as you can see here, the glass eyes, the eyelashes around the eyes are actually rooted as well. Of course, everything as far as the freckles, the little details in regards to the wrinkles on the skin, both around the underarm area, the back of the knees, the back, extremely detailed. When you take a look at some of the close-up shots, it looks like, again, like you're looking at a person. So it's just jaw-dropping how far the statue community and what we are now able to expect as collectors to get as a statue. I'm very glad to have this. It just shows that within just over 2 years, how much JND has grown when you compare the Wonder Woman 1984 to this Wonder Woman Justice League. The Wonder Woman 1984 is still a great statue. I'm glad I have it. While the movie was not my favorite, and I actually do prefer the Wonder Woman movie. I do like Justice League as far as a Snyder cut, but I am glad to have Wonder Woman Gal Gadot in her classic Wonder Woman outfit. The detail, again, JND, second to none, so definitely JND's there. Again, here's some shots of the face. Look at those wrinkles right around the eyes. It's just like you're looking at a person, and especially those glass eyes add an extra effect. Here it even looks like an Infinity 1:1 bust. I think it looks that good. And it's amazing they're able to capture this in a 1/3 scale. So for me, this is definitely my number one Wonder Woman, barring an Infinity 1:1 bust, or even the Queen Studios bust is good as well. But I do like having the full figure, and I just don't have room for a 1:1 life-size statue, so I am glad to have this. And taking another look again, I do apologize for some of the shakiness. Again, connecting this with the iPhone, and unfortunately the macro does not quite take into effect once you're in the video mode, but wow, just jaw-dropping. Again, JND, tip my hats. Definitely, this is a 10 out of 10 figure for me. There's nothing that I personally would have changed. The only one or two things that I would have liked was possibly like a real leather belt or a sash, and then also leather wrappings for the hands, but I do understand why they didn't do that, or possibly also a metal sword. But beyond that, this is an amazing statue, and if you are wanting to pick up only one Wonder Woman in a 1/3 scale, if it's still available, or you can find it from a reseller at a decent price, I do recommend the JND Studios 1/3 scale Wonder Woman from Justice League. Again, second to none. The painting, especially in person and in hand, amazing. Quality all throughout. And they do have great customer service, so for any of you that are still waiting for yours, if there are any problems, I did hear like some of the buttons on that, like on that sash there, popped off for some collectors that arrived early. Definitely contact the JND customer service. Again, this I pre-ordered this when it first announced just a little over a year ago, so, or at least maybe right about a year ago. So this one came out actually pretty fast. I was expecting this to be a little bit later, more around the springtime. So this might even be just under a year. But wow, it's basically Gal Gadot in a 1/3. Here's a shot of her back. Again, the back itself, especially the way that the figure is sculpted, jaw-dropping. There's a little, of course, wrinkles on the back of the knees like a normal human would, and those details are there. You, of course, would have to see them and look up close. The bracers are sculpted with the full silicone arms underneath that. Of course, with the body made mostly of silicone with a with some underpinnings underneath to make sure that it still stands and it's still solid. The statue itself is a little bit lighter, so it makes it a little bit easier to move it around. So that's one nice thing. And you can see here the little wrinkles are on the arms, the cuticles on the fingernails. Right there, just, again, JND, detail oriented. And here's a shot of both Wonder Woman, the 1984, and the Justice League version. Can't go wrong with either one. If I had to pick, Justice League Wonder Woman is my current top favorite for Wonder Woman 1/3 scale statue. This is how it's going to be presented and shown in my collection, at least currently, until maybe down the line if I ever do redo my movie room. But this is how it's going to look. Again, Wonder Woman 1984, an amazing statue, still an amazing statue. Shield in between them, and of course, Wonder Woman Justice League. Apologize for the shine there, but again, completely awesome. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a wonderful 2024.